Greetings and salutations, fellow gamers. Lukey P here, and we are back with another episode of Let's Play Supreme Ruler Ultimate with Brazil. We are still at war with the USA, and it is proving a bit of a challenge in Central America. So let me go through what's been happening and some of the key tactics you can use, and I found to be particularly successful. So if you recall, in the opening days of the war, we took the Panama Canal, and we were attempting to hold our line along here, which was our gun emplacements along here. Really, we probably should have built a third one there to protect that area, but we hadn't. And in fact, actually, what I'm going to do now, not that I think we will need it in the future, but let's just build some fortifications there. So what has been happening is a lot of units have been migrating over from Africa and from Asia to kind of land in this war zone here. The Americans have been, to be honest, dominant at sea. So I've lost a lot of my units. One particularly effective tactic they did, which I didn't know and was a bit disastrous for me, quite frankly, was they drove a capital ship, which I think was retreating actually, into the middle of the canal here, and with their long range they could hit all my bombers and other units trying to repair. And basically what happened is, all of a sudden I heard a load of explosions, and most of my air force in this area, they were just gone, completely blown up. So that was an interesting problem. I've also discovered the importance of subs, so versus the US capital ships, which, because they have better technology than me, they simply are just better. So this was one which they had quite a lot of, 620 range and 51 kilometers. I also saw a couple of other ones, but yeah, good long damage and good heavy damage and good long range, and yeah, they really did do a number on me in here. So what I've done is I've got a whole bunch of yeah, I think I've got enough fuel. I got a whole bunch of subs, and I'm trying to bring them over to here. I've also gone on a mass building exercise of naval facilities. So we've got 15 going up here, and we've got 15 going down there. And I'm probably going to tell them almost exclusively to build subs. So I've told this one up here, all I want it to do is to build subs. And so as they finish these, they're basically replacing them with submarines only. The other thing I've found is quite an effective tactic is, if you notice, so if I unpause it, you'll notice that planes are flying back and forth. You see? And what that is even though, no matter who occupies Panama, it's still a lot of units try to pass through it, including the US's. Now down here we have air superiority. There aren't many US aeroplanes down here, so flying back and forth over here with a bunch of units just allows me to, as much as possible, pick off US merchant marines, which are in reality embarked units, as they travel. I've tried doing that along here as well, so you will see some of these units are going out to kind of watch over this area, because I have seen US units travel down here in the past. I've also got some going down here, but the difference is here is I have to compete with the US's Air Force, which is pretty impressive, I must say. I think we're hopefully slowly wearing them out, but yeah, the US have better planes than us, at least until we manage to research, unless we finish researching it. Maybe we have finished researching it. Yes, IAE 33 Polqui 2 interceptor. Why is that good? Well, let me show you why that's good. That is my first real South American exclusive unit, which seems to be pretty decent. So here's, I mean, you can tell that it takes a lot longer than these, but if you look at this one, that does 10 and 12 over 5 kilometers. That does 22 and 22. So yes, it's going to take longer to build, but it's a better plane, and it will help us win the air war with the US. Curious as to why the game seems to want to build. I don't think I'm missing anything. This is, yeah, it's got a few less supplies, but we're building those en masse, when really we probably should be building those en masse. So I think we probably want to say we're probably never going to use that. I think I probably want to say exclude that so that you build those in future. And 14 and 15, 12. Yeah. Oh, it's not going to last quite as long in the field. I think the Stuka bombers have had their day, but they have served us very well. I can carry missiles at some point, which might be interesting. So yes, we're building up our ability to build ships and to build planes. But the main thing we've been doing is, it was touch and go for a while as to whether we were going to hold this here, to be honest. So we had the problem we had in the last episode, which was too many support units, so artillery and anti-aircraft, and not enough units designed to do damage, like combats, engineers, anti-tanks, mounted infantry, whatever. So what we've been doing is we had some of these throwing up, and basically I'm just spamming land production in Panama. They like me a lot more now, because basically every time I spam like a whole bunch of tiles, I give them $1 billion, which is why they're quite rich now, which is nothing to me. It's a day's income. So I've kind of been building backwards and building all these land productions. Some of the first ones I built, I told just to build specific units. So these were all to build kind of cheapish kind of mounted infantry, scouts, anti-tanks, because the US seem to have a load of tanks, and I'd like to blow them all up. These guys were to basically spam mounted infantry pretty much, because actually what I need, they're not as good as every other unit, but there's a lot of them, and what I need is volume of units to help push the US back and to help hold the line. And you can see now that this line is stabilised, and in fact we're starting for the first time here to push the US back into Central America, and into what I'm calling US Central America. So that's, you know, it's been a battle there, but I think the tide has turned. Over in here, you know, I honestly haven't paid this any attention. I literally, just when I was pausing it, I've gone around and I've started to put supplies up, because I noticed that basically my unit's still ground to a halt. I mean, they get supplied eventually just by waiting or by planes, but this is not a particularly well supplied area. And so, in fact, I'll probably do with a air base and a double supply. Yes, that's not a particularly well supplied area, and so already building an airbase there. Okay, and so we have to put down supply depots for our forces. But you can see basically they are driving the US out of the Middle East. We will at some point probably see our forces start to branch northwards into what was once German Europe, but what will become Brazilian Europe. The US advance looks to have stalled, and in fact our spies seem to have all been captured, and we haven't got many spies left because we've been busy sabotaging stuff in the US as much as possible. So you'll notice as soon as iron pulls, it's lots of bangs basically. Okay, I think that's probably enough. So yeah, we're advancing here, and we are taking land and yeah, doing all good stuff without much intervention. Oh look, there's a little bit here we need to finish off, but that'll get finished off, I'm sure. So that's the war in that part of the world in the US, and yeah, it's been pretty touch and go for a little while, but I think we've turned a corner now. I am trying to basically sabotage any kind of production facilities in the area. That's an example of what I was saying about the US are doing. So they're a bit damaged, but they don't sink easy, these capital ships, and often I simply don't have the massive forces to destroy them. So what happens is I damage them, and then they retreat and repair, and they come back. So that's why I'm trying to do mass submarines and basically form, I guess, what the Germans in World War II would have called a wolf pack, which was their policy of sending out submarines en masse, so like 40 or 50, driving them through allied convoys and sinking them a lot, basically. High yield nuclear weapons test. US and US. So basically only the US get any of these. It's the only thing the whole world gets. I suspect not, really. Okay. Well, we should research it anyway, because maybe it'll scare a bunch of people into agreeing everything with us. It might be kind of cool. So when this air base is up here, oh, are they building a land production? That's interesting. So when this air base is up here, to fly patrols over here as well, and bomb them here, and hopefully finish them off here, because sometimes some of them do get through. So if you notice this guy here, he's running the gauntlet a little bit. Yeah, he hasn't got destroyed. So he lives to fight another day, which isn't really what we want. We want to get them and we want to finish them off, basically. So the US suffer from sinking a lot of their merchant marines. So yeah, so these guys here, so you can see, yeah, we're losing some of our own merchant marines. So what I need to do is to tell these guys to make landfall there, basically, for the time being. This guy's probably dead. Because these ships are just quite good. So it was a DD. So if we have a look, a DD something gearing. So it's a ship. Probably an escort ship, I'm guessing. DD gearing. Yes, that does quite a lot of damage. 230 to ships and 200 to submarines. We're still trying to summon our submarines to this area. Bit careful because these guys can hurt subs. So if we have a look at the range on this, that's 14 and that's 5. So if we hold them there in our supply zone, we tell them to do something like just patrol between here and there. So I want to try and keep them within this supply area because that keeps them supplies. That's the biggest problems with subs, is they only get like 6 supplies, which I think means they get like 6 missiles and they're out, 6 torpedoes. So if you keep them in the supply zone, they can keep getting supplies. If you send them out, they'd fire 6 shots and come all the way back for more supplies. So yeah, we seem to be making progress now in Central America. Hopefully as we do this we're going to damage a lot of their units which have been able to retreat for repairs. We're able to get them in their bases and do some real damage on it. This is probably yeah, I don't care about the US, about Germany's territorial incursions. I mean, so you can see we are losing loads of units, but are the US losing more yet? No, they're about holding the same, so they are producing as quickly as they're losing, but we, I think, are going up. So we're now at 5.2 million men under arms. Really hope that guy's not got himself stuck. I didn't think subs travelling across sea was going to be an issue. Does the girl really only have 6 shots? Is that right? So it said 1 of 2. You want to? Oh, it's because it's damaged probably. Okay, got it. 6. So this guy here's probably only got, yeah, he's only got 4, so let's send them for repairs. Sure how our economy is doing, not really looked at it for a while. So inflation is a little bit high and employment is a bit low, but it's okay. A little bit of slack there, that's a bit of a problem. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. We don't want them auto-deployed actually. We don't want them continuously built either, because that'd do, a bunch of nuclear bombs just in case. We really will have the nuclear option if the US had taken Central America. Just drop bombs on them. Okay, that's a nice little group of aircraft, so let's got an airbase. That's our only airbase in the area. That's a shame, because I really do want one to sweep over here. I do think that would be a particularly good. Let's just see if these guys yeah, I think some of these guys are tiring, so let's send them here. I'm going to send you guys back to here for repairs. Oh, a capital ship. But it's out in the open. How close are our subs? So we've got one there which can try and hit it. We've got one there which can set off to hit it. So capital ships can't hit subs. Doesn't seem a big deal until you realise that took the US probably 600 days to build, so they aren't going to replace them instantly. So let's tell these guys to patrol back and forth. So we're kind of score drawing it here, I'd say. What we could do with is bringing up some of our artillery. hear lots of submarine sinking sounds going on, which does suggest to me good things are happening here. So I think we're winning the air battle there, which is good. So we're hitting a lot of these guys over here, and then they get here and they hit our subs, which sink them. So yeah, that's looking like a nice little bottleneck, and I suspect the number of still about the same, but this is nice bottlenecks. The US keep trying to use the Panama Canal, and we keep picking them off. We do damage to them there. We've got subs patrolling here. We've got lots of air force, so they're unable to kind of take the pressure off, and yeah, it's kind of working quite well. Got some anti-aircraft. Let's move them towards the front lines because the US have a lot of aircraft. Would like to blow their air force out of the sky, funnily enough. The US are losing troops now, so because this is where they were retreating to before, and it's where we're now attacking, they haven't really got anywhere to retreat. I do want to see if we've got enough subs in the area now. So we've got 2. We give it another push. Unless these guys are actually on patrol, we want them here. You should go for repairs as well. With you guys as well. Submarines. I'm going to try and sink some of those US capital ships. Oh, rats. One of their subs hit one of our subs, okay. These guys can't defend themselves, so let's go. Probably got better subs than us. Okay, that was good. I think we sunk some stuff there. Just go back and get some more supplies. Okay, got another bunch of supplies. Go and try and finish those off. Send these here. Okay, so I think this has been a noisy episode because every time we unpause it there's a load of explosions, but you can see kind of what I'm trying to do, I think, which is while we're getting these kind of things being built up, we're trying to find little choke points and little things we can do which hurt the US. So their capital ships are quite dangerous. If they park them off the coast, they do a real damage to us, like I say. So they parked one off there and blew up most of the units in that barracks as well at one point. But those little submarine packs, you know, only kind of 4 or 5 submarines, but we're going to get some naval plants up and spam a whole bunch of them, so that we really can control the seas. They're able to sink them, and it takes the US. If I compare some of the ships I just sunk, so they're the capital ships. Montana, 600 days to build, and I've sunk them with a bunch of where are the Gur ships? So these take 63 days to build, so I can build 10 of those more or less in the time it takes the US to build one capital ship, and I can easily hunt down the US capital ships with 10 subs. So that really does make it a lot better. Iran and Germany have reached a ceasefire agreement. Okay, well, Iran's there, and at some point we will, just because they've got some awkward little spots of land at various points. We don't really need you guys to be holding there, so why don't you go and help out the war up there? Just have a look down here, see what we've got. So again, we do just want to take a little bit of time every now and again when you're fighting a war to, I'm not having to pay attention to this because we've got overwhelming force in this area versus what the US can field. I don't have to pay much attention to it, but I do want to pop in from time to time to make sure my troops have got the supplies they need, which means putting up supply depots. And yes, they take 60 days to build, which is a long time, but the plan is that, you know, the ones back here should now have finished, so any more units wanting to get to the front line should be finding their way smooth by having various supply depots up and running. That's the plan anyway. So there, for example, that's nearly done. I wonder where all these guys are going. Oh, they're all heading back to the US, I think. Put some more supply depots there, since we've already got an air base. Building of these. Got any combat engineers? Okay, you help with construction. You help with construction. And you help with construction. So that's just if they're around that where I'm planning on building, then I just tell them to help out basically. Couple of supply depots there, I think, as well. But this is just, you know, I've said before how important supply is when you're fighting a war. This is just to keep them going basically. So I've got a load of engineers around there. So that's 7, which is 1 too many. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 7 again. Let's deselect 1, and then we'll do construction for the other 6. Okay. This is handy, so we've conquered some of Iran's oil fields. So I do want to sort out the supply around there and basically reactivate them. So let's go full on 100% supply, which is one air base and two of those, and then let's just link these up. And tell the computer, yeah, I do want to rebuild all of those. Because Iran does have rather a lot of oil, much the same as in real life. And you'll notice one of the advantages we have is that unlike Germany with their big empire, we don't have rebels, because every time I capture a new country, I do tend to then decide it's time to put up my police spending by a couple of points. So we're recommended to spend 250 million. We're spending nearly 100 million more. Turn that up a little bit while we're here. Yeah, so I'm just using that to help reduce the possibility of rebels, and I think health rating has a somewhat similar impact as well. So have we haven't, oh, that's already been rebuilt. Can I build there? Is that or is that going to be deemed C, gas field? No. I could also build a lot around here, which, given we're short of, or we may be short of oil, let's do that, and let's put a couple of supply depots down there. That could do with being active, couldn't it? Right, so this is a lot of tidying up, which I will finish off doing off camera. But basically, like I say, every now and again you want to spend, 10 minutes having a poke around areas you've just conquered like this, even where the computer is doing a great job of just, rolling back the enemy because there's not much opposition. Sheer volume of forces will win this battle in this part of the world, because we just have loads of forces versus the US, as long as the computer doesn't decommit too many to go back to Central America, which it looks to be doing. Yes, you can see a lot of those are planning on going around the Cape and sailing back to South America and sailing up to Panama. So yeah, but the computer will do a good job of doing that, but we just every now and again, like I say, pop in and you look at the supplies, you look at what's going on, and you build stuff up. But it's the war over here where you need a bit more human interaction and strategy and things like what I've discussed, so flying of planes over, putting subs in key areas, hunting down their expensive capital ships with our subs, bringing up reserves, so these guys will fly over and they'll probably be based at that when it's built, and fly patrols out over here. But I'm looking at the clock, and this episode is a little bit long. I was going to try and keep it to half an hour. It's gone for about 40 minutes. But that's what happens when you're playing an interesting game and you get a bit carried away. So hopefully that's been interesting. It's an example of a much more equal war than we fought before. A lot of the wars before have been pretty straightforward and easy, and the US, quite frankly, they have better unit designs than us. And initially, at least, they were able to field more units in this local area. At some point soon, we will probably switch this battle zone control from balanced to aggressive, and we will see if we can push them out of here. I guess the question will be is, when we've beaten these forces, have the US thrown all of their forces into trying to keep this, and do we then get a rapid advance through Central America? That would be something interesting to see, but I can report on that next episode. So as ever, any comments, do let me know below the video. If you've liked, please do like the video. If you've really liked, please do subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate every subscriber. I'm Lukey P. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you again soon.